Back on dry land and the moment Ellen had dreamed of.
Nature had thrown its worst at the moor.
Police have refused to confirm whether this was a terrorist incident, but they've sent a specialist team down from Scotland Yard.
The Royal Marines were among the very first to cross the border into Iraq.
This is the moment when the Cornish village of Boscastle was struck by a month's rain in just an afternoon.
Extraordinary scenes at the brand new Princess Hayes shopping mall. Police confirmed less than an hour ago that a device had been made safe. A huge emergency operation swung into action within minutes of the blast and continues this evening. Richard Lawrence reports on the day's unfolding drama.
What was a typical lunchtime was brought to an abrupt end at 10 to 1. Staff thought they'd heard a small bang from the toilets area of the Giraffe restaurant. Nothing more than a light bulb exploding, they thought. But they found a man with cuts to his eye, bleeding heavily from his face.
A village in ruins. How 2 hours destroyed a Cornish community.
But amazingly, apparently no fatalities. The extraordinary rescue operation that saved hundreds of lives.
Now the clear-up begins. The long job of rebuilding homes and businesses.
Hello from Boscastle, this small seaside village trying to recover from an extraordinary natural disaster.
Residents and holidaymakers alike found themselves suddenly trapped by the torrent. Many were forced to climb onto roofs to escape the rising waters. They then had an anxious wait to be rescued.
We're here in the shadow of Parliament to debate the war on terror and the role the West Country is playing in the defining conflict of modern times.
The West Country has a huge stake in both conflicts. The Royal Marines were among the very first to cross the border into Iraq and were the first into the mountains of Afghanistan on the trail of al-Qaeda terrorists. Today, they're still at the forefront of operations.
A hero's return. Ellen MacArthur is back from her record-breaking journey. Thousands of people from around the region and beyond gathered to, well, applaud, to cheer and gasp in sheer amazement as Ellen MacArthur rounded the corner when her trimaran B&Q back into Falmouth 72 days since she left.
Back on dry land and the moment Ellen had dreamed of. She's battled the world's wildest oceans without batting an eyelid. But this show of warmth and compassion almost moved the 28-year-old to tears.
I think the only thing to say is that absolutely nothing can prepare anyone for the welcome that I've had here in Falmouth.
Paul Dutton has worked for the company for 26 years.
Ottery St Mary always used to flood when a culvert at the top of the town became clogged up by leaves and branches.
Each one of these cans of paint is 5 litres of fuel to keep the flames fed.
I suspect that the real story of Christmas is taking place on the edges.
The problem now, as you see under the bridge there, is the abandoned vehicles.
The column of thick black smoke could be seen from miles away, towering nearly 400 feet in the still morning air. Traffic already disrupted by roadworks on the A38 ground to a halt as drivers stared at the spectacle.
And I suppose the remarkable thing is that there's anything left here at all. But up above us on a crane is Richard Lawrence with a bird's eye view of what remains.
Thanks, Richard. Well, from up here you get a true picture of the difficulties that the emergency services faced here above the store and that area down in the centre, which was a source of intense heat.
Hello and welcome to Ottery St Mary. We're walking through the remnants of last night's storm. It started out looking like a winter wonderland, the area covered in a blanket of snow. But this isn't snow, this is actually icy, compacted hail, and coupled with severe flooding, this is the rather grim and murky result tonight. The rest of East Devon has been hard hit too. Our reporters have been out and about bringing you the story as it's unfolded, and Duncan Slightholme is one of them. He's in Cadhay. Duncan, what's it like over there?
Well, as you can see, I mean, look at this. It's a 3 or 4 foot snowdrift, it would appear, but on closer inspection, what you actually find is this is a collection of the hailstones. It's the kind of thing that people coming through the villages around here, and reporters like me, have had to negotiate all day today, along with mud and sludge on the roads.
Hello from Blackpool Pitness and to Austell in Cornwall, where they've quarried china clay for more than 100 years. It's a landscape, or perhaps a moonscape, that defines this part of Cornwall, but for how much longer?
What consolation can you offer a group of men who've given their working lives to a company and now face redundancy? Hundreds of Imerys clay workers are returning home tonight, knowing they'll be out of a job in 18 months' time.
Motorists trapped in their vehicles, a major evacuation operation is mounted to get them to safety.
Good evening and welcome to West Country Live.
We're live at Holden Hill near Exeter, where we experienced the most extraordinary scenes last night.
We're 7 miles west of Oakhampton here. We're over a conifer forest. Now that looks very, very good fun.
Here at St Andrews for a member of the armed forces killed while serving in Afghanistan.
Here at Gadrivi car park that Kay was last seen alive, ironically by a friend of hers who didn't know she was missing.
Still remains true to its roots.
Well, this is the 164th Dartmouth Royal Regatta. He pleaded guilty to dangerous driving and driving with excess alcohol in his blood. Terry Barrett left his home to tackle a group of youths.
Whenever we get a penalty, I always think we're going to miss.
On the morning of the 28th, it was just like any other morning. We'd had a cup of tea in bed. I'd got out and went in the shower. When I came out of the shower, I called to Kay that it was her turn, but there was no reply.
It was here at Gadrivi car park that Kay was last seen alive, ironically by a friend of hers who didn't know she was missing. That was January the 1st. Since then, neither her car or Kay have been seen.
Beneath a dull grey sky, family and friends joined servicemen and women past and present to say farewell to Marine Travis Mackin. They came from around the country, from Areston in Plymouth, where Travis grew up, to Arbroath in Scotland, where he was attached to 4-5 Commando. This was the second funeral service within a week here at St Andrews for a member of the armed forces killed while serving in Afghanistan. A few days ago, Plymouth stood to remember 25-year-old Christopher Reed. 2 young men killed whilst doing their duty in a conflict a long way from home.
It's not every agricultural fair that has its own theme tune, and it was on everyone's lips at Widdicombe today, including these children from the Rudolf Steiner School near Totnes.
And this is where Uncle Tom Cobley was going. It all started 150 years ago as a sheep and cattle fair, and while it's grown a bit since then, it still remains true to its roots.
Because, unlike some other shows you could mention, the car dealers and estate agents haven't yet moved in. Instead, it's children from the local school dancing around the maypole.
It was a crime that shocked a nation. Gary Newlove, a father of 3 from Warrington, killed by teenagers. They'd been vandalising his wife's car. He went out to tackle them. They turned on him, beating him up. He died from his injuries. Here in Saltash, the case of Gary Newlove has uncomfortable echoes. It was on the 25th of June 2005 that 56-year-old Terry Barrett left his home to tackle a group of youths who were throwing eggs and stones at his property. A few hours later, Terry died of a heart attack, caused in no small part by the stress of that incident.
You know what? Whenever I'm watching my favourite football team or England, whenever we get a penalty, I always think we're going to miss. And they never let me down, sad to say.
So what's the answer? Who better to ask for advice than Plymouth Argyle's penalty king Paul Watton, a man who knows how to put those penalties away.
You have to stay strong personally, and all you can do is do your job and, have, like I said, have the power of your convictions and have the belief in what you're going to do, and don't change your mind. And if you score, great.